Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be talking about Make It Rain and indeed the Gold Saucer. Now I realized up until this point I've not really ever done a comprehensive video on what you can even get from the Gold Saucer. In fact, I've done lots of little videos on the various rewards over the years, which, you know, I'm grateful to have some viewership on, but there's never really been a one-stop place to just look at things. So let's have a look at things that we've got. Now bear in mind I've got everything physically possible from the Gold Saucer over the years, including some of the newer rewards. So this is a unique perspective. So let's go through this. As you can see, when you log into the game, you will be notified of the Make It Rain campaign currently working up until the 17th of July. It will also give you your own regional time of when that will end. So pay attention to that. That's how long you've got to make the most of these rewards. Just a brief thing then very quickly of how I would go about farming MGP in particular. I would do fashion report every Friday when the judging begins for that minigame, but also I would definitely make use of the challenge log. This is something that shouldn't really need too much of an introduction. You probably already know this, but doing minigames gives you MGP rewards. Getting 100 MGP from minigames gives you more MGP. Gates, chocobo races, you name it, there's plenty of stuff here. And this will be active for the entire week, right? And then you'll be able to do it all over again. Considering we've got until July the 17th, you have got plenty of time to make the most out of this and get pretty much any of the rewards that you want. Now, in particular, as I said before, I actually am in the fortunate position to have already obtained everything. So let's go through this. I'm nearly cap again. The cap is 9999999, by the way. And I've already spent another 4 million on the Blackjack recently, which is the giant airship. So on prize claim 1, you'll see that there's a bunch of really cool glamour related weapons on the first tab. And they've split the other things into other tabs, essentially, into other prize claim options. So we've got stuff like the Blood Sword, the Gigas Axe. These are all basically weapons related to monsters or special, you know, situations in a game with fate creatures, things like that. So if you wanted to, you could get yourself one of these weapons for 10,000, as you can see, for the majority of this stuff. Possibly some of the most underrated weapon models in the game then. A lot of these are from monster models, so monsters have wielded these in fates or otherwise, you know, in the open world. I think this is a great collection and it's something I hope that they add more to over time. Some of the best looking things, like basic looking weapons without glows, come from the Gold Saucer, and so few people actually utilize them in their glamour. Everything from things referencing other games to, like we say, monster models from Odin's shield, which wasn't previously obtainable, Halicarnass's sword, you know, Gigas blades and shields and Colossus weapons. My favorite, the Faust lance with its animations, training swords. There's just a really good selection of weapons that I think a lot of people just don't know exist or forgot existed. Then as we go down, some of the previous MGP Make It Rain stuff is still on here, and it's 70,000 for a blade, for example. These are all Senor Sabatenda stuff, so this is all Make It Rain and Gold Saucer related items. So these are, again, like the others, completely undieable, but you've got a really, really good option for some of these things. If you wanted to have a cactuar on a cane or a lance, obviously this is the way to go. They have slight glow on them when you take them out, kind of like an MGP stained glass thing. Usually that's the bit that glows, but there's a plethora of options, and obviously these go up to 100k per weapon on some of these things. You'll notice that the shield and the main hand for Paladin is significantly lower because it adds up to the same value individually. We also have stuff like the Giga Shield, and one of the things I would recommend, especially for any paladins who are fed up of shields, you can get the Emperor's New Shield for 100,000 MGP. This essentially is a shield, it just means that it will be permanently invisible. So if we have let's say we wanted to use the Halicarnass's sword and we use the Emperor's New Shield, basically you would look like something from an anime. You can use that one-handed sword look and not have to deal with a shield blocking that view. Of course, some of the mechanics, like passage of arms, will raise your hand instead of a shield to block the enemy, which looks amazing, by the way. So definitely one of my top picks from this, if I could speak. On price claim 2, you'll see that there's actually glamour items, so all of the other tabs will be empty. On the armor tab then, which it will default to, we have some of the older stuff like the Gambler's Trench Coat, which is a beautiful piece of glamour, honestly, and a lot of this stuff is dyeable. This stuff also comes up quite often inside the Gold Source's fashion report as well. We have a full set of that, bits and pieces, boots and things. We also have the bunny crown as well as the bunny bustier. So as you can see here, if you wanted to, you could make your character look like a bunny person. Similar to the bunny girls that are walking around inside Gold Saucer. These are no longer gender locked at all if you've missed that notification. So if you're a male or a female character, you can wear these, which is awesome. Inclusion is always great, in my opinion. And then obviously we have different variations of that. The Bunny Chief one has slightly different embellishments and things like that. We also have the Riviera Dubois, for example. There's a lot of really cool NPC lookalike glamour here. And honestly, if you're going for sort of like glamour recreations or something a little bit more muted, a less adventure-y and more NPC-like, this is definitely the place to go. And these vary in the prices, as you can see on screen. But yeah. And then we go to the completely obscene, sort of bizarre, with the swine-related stuff. So this is one of the mascot sets. There's plenty of mascot sets in the game. They basically differ between having more realistic sets and then completely off the walls fun. Of course, these are fully dyeable, so if you want to be a tiny green Lalafell pig, you totally can do that. I've seen plenty of people have fun with that. We have goggles of various different types, of course. We've got the Charlian goggles. This is a fun one, the coxcomb, which is literally just putting a chicken on a plate on your head. I mean, it's not dyeable. I don't know what you would dye. Quill mask. Again, that props up quite a bit on the Gold Saucers minigames as well, fashion report. Succubus horns, which a lot of you will probably want to get a hold of. A lot of people love making succubus glamours. There's a lot of really beautiful looking outfits that complement darker themes. And we've also got the archdemon horns as well. Then we have things, again, back to muted NPC-like. We have the Ishgardian gown, the Far Eastern smock. One of my favourite items in the entire game, Claws of the Beast. One of the best glamour items because you don't always want to wear gloves. Sometimes you want claws. And especially if you're going for that succubus look, there is no better option. There is no better. They're also dyeable, so if you want bright pink claws, you totally could do that. And we've also got the Ishgardian thigh boots, which I use quite a lot in glamours. They're quite nice sized and they dye really well as well with those little buttons as a detail. So obviously a closer look at all of these in better fidelity is definitely the way to go, because then you can get a good idea of what everything looks like. As I said before, there's a lot of really good ways of creating NPC glamours, and there's also quite a lot of fun items as well. The glamour has always been one of the more interesting things in the Gold Saucer. There's always something you can put together, and there's always something that you could never find a way of using. I use a lot of the succubus related stuff and Claws of the Beast and the horns, and sometimes some of the gowns. They're really quite nice actually, some of the bits. Definitely don't overlook the glamour section. But then beyond glamour, we have price claim 3, which is where the real meat and potatoes comes. We have all these different minions. We have zoo hatchlings, black quills, and all that stuff. And there are some really lovely minions as well. If you're a minion collector, you don't want to miss out on these. Definitely add the black quill to your list. It is just amazing, especially if you've done the Alexander questline. Some of these, like I say, will only appear when you've completed questlines as well, so bear in mind if something is missing. And then we have the mount, which we can have a look at together. I thought that would be the best thing to do. So for 200,000 MGP, you can get the Adamantoise whistle, which is a really cool mount. It spins when you take off. Personally, I find it very difficult to use this mount more often than not because it gives me nausea. It is just spinning around. It loves to spin. In its terrestrial form on the ground, it doesn't spin, thankfully, but yes. That's 200,000 MGP. Then we have the Pod 602 identification key. Some of these items, I must let you know, are only visible on this list. Potentially, that goes for minions, that goes for outfits, that goes for triple triad cards, that goes for mounts, specifically here for doing quests, right? So some side quests in the game, equaling to alliance raids and the like, require completion of before you will see some things on the vendor. So you might see something on this list that I have access to that you do not. So as a new player, just bear in mind, if you can't see it on your list, you're probably being locked out of it, and to look for some side quests. Do every plus quest in the game. But yeah, the Pod 602 is a really lovely mount. Obviously, it's got that sort of hanging from the bottom of it, much like you would expect from Nier. Very cool stuff. 300,000 MGP. If you're a massive Nier fan, then you're going to already have this, probably. Then we have, back to some of the traditional MGP mounts, we've got 750,000 MGP for an Archon throne. This is just one of the many chair mounts in the game. This is really cool. I like this one. Famed for Archon Louisoix himself to be the owner originally of this. It's just a really nice throne. If you want to look special as you fly around and everybody go, wow, look at that guy on his throne, then yeah, it's a good use of 750k. We've got the Corporate Core Colossus, which is a copper core. Why you wouldn't want this, I have no idea. 750k. There is actually a variation of this that is a brown version, which is called the Copper Core, like chocolate version, which was from promotional events, but this green one, 750k. Then we have the Typhon Horn. Typhon is kind of cool. If you don't know anything about Typhon, go do your Mandeville questline, or you know, you're involving the Gold Saucer. You'll soon learn about Typhon. Great storyline, by the way. 750k for that. Yes, it both sucks and blows, that mount. Then we have one of the most famous and fabled mounts that's been around for a long time. It was the first major expensive mount in the game, really, for MGP, which was the Fenrir Horn. Now, Fenrir, legendary Whorehound. Obviously, you can fight this in a particular dungeon. It is just beautiful. It has the ice effects as it moves through the air, rather, as well as just looking really cool. It is a really nice looking mount. It has some decent decent visuals regardless of how far away from other people you are. They can instantly identify this. That is 1 million MGP, which sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's not that bad. If you do your fashion report and other things, easy peasy, right? Make the most of Make It Rain. Then we have for Sabatenda Emperador Horn. This was the most expensive mount from MGP for a while, and this is something that a lot of people have been saving up for. It is basically a giant Gold Saucer embellished Sabatenda, right? The big cactuar with the Gold Saucer sort of references all over it. It's big, it's flashy, it makes boingy noises as you fly around or land. It is one of the coolest mounts in the game. 2 million MGP though, which, you know, double a Fenrir. I don't know, do you like this? Hopefully this helps you decide if you want to save for this or not. Then we have the Blackjack identification key, which up until more recently didn't exist. This was a recent addition. 4 million MGP, that's right. This is a multi-person mount. This does have some real scale issues. It's quite small in comparison to a lot of the other mounts. It kind of defies physics when other people step aboard your Blackjack, and obviously is a reference to earlier Final Fantasy games, and yeah, it's just really cool. But again, if you're the sort of person that's a stickler for scale, perhaps you're like, wow, this thing is a lot smaller than I expected. Hopefully that saved you some time. It does look really cool soaring through the sky, but if you were to put this side by side with Fenrir, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. You kind of vanish into a very small form, like you become the Blackjack when you summon it. Very strange. Then we have some hairstyles, so we might as well look at these. We've got the modern aesthetics for ponytails, which is a pretty cool looking hairstyle if you like ponytails. We have curls as well for 9,600. So for ponytails was 8,000, curls is 9,600 MGP, which is pretty good. It does let you know if it's available to Hrothgar and Viera. You'll see Curls is unavailable to Viera and Hrothgar. Ponytails is available. Then we have Great Lemps, which is one of the coolest hairstyles in the game. It is a shame that it's a cut-off at the back. That's my major complaint with this, but it is one of the longer hairstyles in the game, and a lot of people like this. It's 30,000 to MGP. Great option. Then we have the Lexan Tails. Again, this is an item that will only appear on this list once you have completed a certain Alliance raid, and of course that would be the Return to Ivalice storyline. This is unavailable to Hrothgar and Viera as well, unfortunately, but costs 50,000, and there's plenty of characters that use that since that Alliance raid's been out. Lots of NPCs use that. It looks really cool. Then we have some actual dancers and emotes. So Pursuing Happiness is basically the big grin emote. Big grin, sorry. This just is a big grin. That's 20,000 MGP if you want to smile crazily. We've also got a fantastic dance, the Favnarian dance, which a lot of the Makote wearing very little dancers in Uldar wear and utilize for 80,000. One of the coolest dancers, very sultry. Very nice to add to your collection. The Gold Dance for 80,000 as well. This is a very cool dance, very much like the Favnarian dance, another variation. Then we have the Bee's Knees, which probably is, I mean, you need this, right? Especially if you're a female character and you want to do those really cool dances. You might have seen this dance being employed inside a certain establishment within Yulmore, a city inside the Shadowbringers, rather, expansion. Don't know why I said Stormblood. The Shadowbringers expansion, and that's 80,000 MGP. This is a persistent emote, and I love it. It is a must-have. Then we also have Forearmed is Well Armed, which is the /draw emote. This is actually a unique draw animation, so a lot of people probably go, what is this? So you know when you draw your weapon, it comes out. Well, you know on various cutscenes throughout the game, your character will do like a slow draw of the weapon regardless of whatever class you play. This is essentially a slow draw animation. It's the same one from the cutscenes. That will cost you 100,000 MGP and is great for your RP and making macros to transition between sets and things. Macro transitions are like all the hype still. They look fantastic. 100,000, pretty good. And then we also have the ability to sheath as well. So this is easily at ease. So similar to the draw, the sheath emote for 100,000 here will do the same idea. Instead of it just putting the weapon away straight away, it will actually do a special animation depending on what job you're playing as or class. So they all have unique ones that are used usually in cutscenes of putting the weapon away, but you can do that too. Very cool stuff. Unfortunately, there isn't a way to set this as a default instead of the default one that we have, which is a real missed opportunity, but hey, at least we have access to it. Then we have some of the fashion accessories. So first of all, fashion accessories are not really usable in duties. They are usable in the open world now, especially in combat as well, with varying degrees of success. The false spectacles is essentially a pair of spectacles that you wear on your character's face, but doesn't impede the use of a helm. So the reason that you would go for fashion accessories, say for instance you wanted to hang out sort of AFK or something, or you wanted to do some RP and you wanted your character to wear spectacles, but you also wanted to wear that helm that you like, because usually the spectacles, if they were an item, would take up that slot, is not the case with fashion accessories. So what you can do is you can wear both. Limitations, like I say, are anywhere in a duty it will not work. Some other locations it won't work, but recently in the recent patch they made it so that you can use some fashion accessories in combat in the open world. So if you're doing hunts, you can use your spectacles with your hat. Very cool stuff. We also have some parasols, which is the main reason why fashion accessories were added. 200,000 MGP will get you the gold paper parasol. This is really cool. Again, most of this stuff, if not all of it, is market prohibited, so it's only MGP obtainable. Very nice looking parasol. I do like my parasols. Then for 500,000 MGP, we have Angel Wings, the traditional white Angel Wings. You can use these in combat in the open world, but again, duty limitations as you would expect. Same restrictions as you would get with any other fashion accessory. 500k for one of the coolest looking set of wings. They are slightly animated. When you jump, they flap. They don't serve any purpose. Unfortunately, they don't allow you to glide off of ledges. I wish that was the case. I really do, but sadly that isn't the case. 500k though, that's quite expensive, but it is a really cool looking item. Then we have two sets of barding at the bottom here. We have the Gambler barding, which apparently I've never obtained. Okay, let's fix that. Which is 20,000 MGP and looks like this. I can't believe I didn't have that. Basically looking like Gambler set. I've seen this before. I must have just never bought it myself, but now we have it. Yeah, it's a nice set of barding. 20,000, not exactly expensive. And then finally on here, we also have the Mandavillion barding for 150,000. Which apparently I also didn't own as well, so let's fix that. I thought I had everything, but there we go. I must have missed the bardings. Very cool looking barding. I've seen this again before on other people. That's probably why I didn't get it. And of course, it's worn by the maidservants employed at the Mandeville Manor, apparently, similar to that outfit. 150k, cool looking bardings. There are other better bardings, in my opinion, in the game. But that's the main, like, meat and potatoes of that. The minions are really cool. I would definitely do a shout out to the Nero Tolskava minion. Very cool stuff. But yeah, out of the mounts, I would say that the Blackjack is okay. But personally, I would have gone for the Emperador if it was my first time, and the Fenrir. I would go for those two rather than the Blackjack, but that's my personal opinion, and you might have a better affinity for other games than I. On the fourth tab, then, we have access to Orchestrion roles. It would take me far too long to go through these, but essentially, these vary in value. But there's some really good themes. Apparently there's some that I've not obtained, so we'll be fixing that as well. Then we've got some housing items such as the dance pole. If you wanted to make your own strip joint or dive bar, that's definitely the way to go. You can dye those as well, 2,000 a piece. Stuffed saber tenders, tabletop item, very cool. Gold saucer chandeliers, the guitar that you can put on your wall, looking like the special edition Fender that they added to real life that you can purchase for, like, what is it, $6,000 or something. Indoor climbing frames. We've got the Crystal Tower Striker. Now, it's important to note that these things, Tower Striker, Toss Machine, Cover Cur Machine, Muggle's Paw, Out on a Limb, and Finer Miner, are exactly the same as the mini games inside Gold Saucer, and they do actually give you MGP when you use them. So if you don't like the hubbub of farming or grinding out some of your last bits of MGP you needed for some of the mini games, you can do this in your own house or apartment or room of wherever you live, right? In an FC room, stuff like that. Housing is a lot more accessible than it used to be. Unfortunately, these are indoor items, so you can't put these on your island sanctuary. That's the missing link there. Hopefully in the future they can make that a possibility. They cost 300,000 each, but you know, if you want the privacy and the benefit of doing this stuff in your own room, I mean, that's a small price to pay, in my opinion. So that's basically the main prize claim stuff as we skimmed across it. I know we didn't look at everything because that would just take 6 million years. And then around here we've got a triple triad trader where you can actually get some cards. Again, this might be looking very different to you depending on your progression through side quests, your main quests, stuff like that. So as you can see, we have various other cards that we can purchase for MGP. If you're big into your triple triad, do the quest for that. They'll give you basically a free deck. But if you want some more powerful cards and you have done things in quest, definitely come back and look at this. We've got stuff as expensive as 96,000. We have Adamantoise cards. We have Gold Saucer Attendants. We've got Fenrir card. We've got Senya Sebatender. Basically, a lot of this stuff is going to be a MGP sync unless you really love, really love Triple Triad, which is a great game, originally from Final Fantasy VIII, as you probably know, and it's a great version of it for new players who are confused. We also have some crossover cards as well that you can purchase, like the Cloud Strife card for 1 million MGP. Noctis from 15, stuff like that. There are also these packs. Now, these packs have a chance to have some really, really exciting stuff within them, of varying degree. If you, for example, purchase your Mithril ones, let's just buy a pack. I'll show you 8,000 MGP for a pack of Mithril. Let's open this, and you will see that we got a Quill Regina card. Yay! A rare 3-star. But the point is that there are a lot of Mandeville Gold Saucer related cards inside the game, a lot of which you can get from events, you know, NPCs, stuff like that. My collection is not complete. There's still stuff I need to go do, right? Like some of the raid content to get some of the cards that won't drop for me. But there are plenty of, you know, cards won from NPCs, but some of the battles against those NPCs are made easier by getting more exciting cards, and the best way to do that, in my opinion, would be to go and spend some of your MGP, if you have any spare, to actually get some of this stuff. And if you collect a full set of Triple Triad cards, you will actually get a mount as part of an achievement, which, as you can see if we search for it, is the magic card, which looks absolutely amazing. As I call it, the jam on toast mount. But that's the ultimate reward, and it might be the new addiction that I can get you into, just collecting those cards. A lot of the cards are from those packs. You can just go straight up to the vendor and buy those packs and get a lot of the cards from this stuff. There are websites on the internet that will tell you the contents of every single one of these packs. I'll try and link that in the description of this video if you're interested. But yeah, Triple Triad, excellent choice of addiction. But yeah, that's basically what the Gold Sorcery is all about. It's all about you killing time, finding things to do, right? And Make It Rain makes things a lot easier. We also have some price claim vendors over here. For example, we have the Tarnished Fanged Wolf and stuff. This is the Garo related stuff. So if you go to the Wolf's Den Pier, which is PvP, and you go and you get your a full set of gear for your left side and talk to the Disreputable Priest NPC, you can get weapons and titles, right? But what you can also do is go over to the Gold Saucer and say, for instance, you did never want to do PvP. There are undieable versions of those weapons. So there are dieable versions in PvP, but undieable from this particular vendor. So you can get the, let's say we wanted to get Tarnished Helllight. Cool looking weapon for Dark Knight. The dieable version is so much cooler, I would say, but perhaps you don't care about dies. Perhaps you just want a massive blade. That will cost you 100,000 MGP. This is really good as well because you can get the Divine Beast shield, very similar to the Emperor's New Shield. Basically does exactly the same. The Emperor's New Shield never used to exist until more recently, in the past couple of years. So our only option was the Garo shields. Of course, it doesn't matter about dieability over here because, again, it is just an invisible shield. But yeah, definitely one to look at. We also have an armor page full of the same stuff. So if you don't care about dieability and you want to get a full set of, I don't know, the Golden Wolf stuff, we can totally do that. And a lot of these sets look amazing. If you're not familiar with Garo, think Power Rangers, basically. That's the easiest way of thinking about this. Garo is a Japanese TV show where the characters fight evil in suits of armor like this. Basically like Power Rangers. Basically the same thing, right? But you can get pieces of this. You can get a full set for under 200k, I would say. And yeah, very cool option. We've also got the Modern Aesthetics Saleswoman over here. And there are two others that you can get. Modern Aesthetics Adventure, which looks like this, which is unavailable to Hrothgar, but you can use it on Vieira, which is awesome. This is a cool looking hairstyle if you've wanted something more unique. 14 MGP, not really that expensive. Everybody can get this. Even as a new player, you can get your MGP cards that they give you when you come to the Gold Saucer for the first time. Definitely pick this up. And the other is the Rainmaker hairstyle, which is probably one of the most sought after hairstyles in the game. It is brilliant. 5,000 MGP, looks amazing. Absolutely looks amazing. This is usable on Vieira and Hrothgar as far as I know. So yeah, definitely a top tip to get that one, which is from this saleswoman, just slightly near the entrance. But that's pretty much the rewards that you can get. There might be a few other things that I've missed out, but for the most part, I think that serves a purpose as to what the mounts at least look like and some of the hairstyles and things. Of course, we could spend forever looking at the various glamour and things, but you can also preview that. It was mostly to look at the things that we could not preview on preview windows. So I hope that helped. Have a great Make It Rain event. Make the most of those 50% increase from all of your mini games and events. Make sure you do your jumbo cactpot, which is drawn every Saturday, obviously, and make sure you do your mini cactpot 3 times a day. Make sure you do your challenge log, each week. Very easy to do, even if you do just bits of it, just the chocobo races. Get addicted to chocobo racing, get addicted to chocobo breeding, get addicted to triple triad. Enjoy the Gold Saucer. It is a fantastic place, and I really wish I could go back to being a new player myself and experience it for the first time all over again, because it is such a time sink. It is a lovely place. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your time zone, and I'll see you all next time.